Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from Group 6 and I am Angeli Melly together with my team Sasabila Novianu, Sari Nur Hikman, Nina Nisa, Amanda Nur Hafida, and Englusi Hardiani. We will present our research analysis. And our presentation is based on the article Education Fiasco, Discursive Strategies of School Zone System in Tempo by Agis Andriani and Fuad Abdullah. And it examines Tempo's critique of Indonesia's school zone policy, highlighting issues like unfair placements and public protests. And using Wodak's discourse historical approach, it explores how Tempo shapes public opinion and government policies. And now let's begin our discussions.
So now I will present an overview of our study which applies for the discourse historical approach to analyze how tempo criticus Indonesia's school zone policy. First, let's look at the focus of this research. This study examines language, power dynamics, and ideological influences in media discourse. The goal is to understand how tempo, as a media outlet, represents and critiques the school zoning system through its choices of words, framing, and rhetorical strategies. To conduct this analysis, we follow several key steps. The first one is data collections. We examine Tempo's article to understand how the policy was reported. The second is contextual analysis. This step explores the historical, social, and cultural background of the school zoning system, highlighting public reaction and policy changes. The third is discourse analysis. We analyze the language used, identifying framing techniques, rhetorical strategies, and word choices that shape the narrative. The fourth is ideological analysis. This focuses on uncovering the dominant and competing ideologies behind media representations. The last is interpretation of findings. Finally, we examine how the discourse influenced public perception and a policy debate regarding the school.
The next is step-by-step data analysis. The first is data collection. This research focuses on how the school zone system is reported in the media. The data collected was through textual analysis to understand the background of articles. The second is contextual analysis. This study investigates how educational institutions and cultural norms affect discourse in society. It also examines how problems like educational inequality and the application of policies influence media narratives, such as social context, cultural context, and historical context. The third is discourse analysis. This concern on particular discourse structures such as narrative structure and then argumentation strategies. The presentation of various viewpoints, including governmental regulation and public responses. The study examines persuasive strategies, whether there is a strong emotional or if the language is more neutral and objective. And then counter arguments, how contrasting opinions are addressed or disproved. And then linguistic features, the word choices employed to either defend or criticize the policy.
Next is step 4, or ideological analysis. This analysis uncovers how media discourse reflects a neoliberal, egalitarian, or meritocratic ideology, shaping perceptions of quality and fair education. It also examines whether reporting reinforces or challenges dominant beliefs about education and how different stakeholders' perspectives are represented. Language in choices media can legitimize certain viewpoints while excluding the others. And the last is step 5, or interpretation of findings. Moving beyond description, we analyze how Tempo's coverage influences public perception, either reinforcing or challenging power structures in educational governance. We also explore whether media discourse supports or hinders educational reform, ultimately shaping societal attitudes towards policy. Thank you.
Okay, so the next I will present an example illustrates how Wodak's discourse historical approach helps highlight the connection between language, power, and ideology in shaping educational failure. The first data collection and contextualization, the study analyzed media articles from Tempo about school zoning, showing how language is influenced by historical and political context. And the next linguistic analysis, it examined word choices and metaphors such as educational failure and battleground, which create a crisis narrative. And the next discursive strategies, the study found strategies like blame shifting and delegitimization, framing the reform as political rather than an actual improvement. And the next interdiscursive comparison. By comparing different media sources, it shows how the crisis narrative is reinforced for political interest. And the final findings, the study concludes that portraying school zoning as a failure is a deliberate rhetorical strategy that shapes public perception. This proves that language doesn't just describe reality; it actively shapes it.
For the conclusion, this study confirms that language is a form of power. And using Wodak's framework, it reveals how media shape public opinion, legitimize or challenge regulations, and convey ideology. The finding shows that news can appear objective yet still contains bias, emphasizing the need for critical thinking in consuming media. And that's the report analysis from our group. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.